Okay, back to this. I guess I'll call this part 2. These are some areas that I kind of dug out with a shovel. What I'm doing here is I'm creating some areas for asparagus. These are going to be some asparagus beds I'm about to plant in the next probably about 2 weeks. What I'm doing here, oops, let me get up on a high point. What I'm doing here is I've scooped out, you can see the side of the area here as it slopes down into another little drainage, what do you call it, swale, for lack of a better term. And what I've done is I've scooped it out and I've laid hay down. I'm basically going to make a little hugelkultur bed here, kind of a little pocket one. And in it, I am going to plant asparagus, part of the overall food forest. As you come through, I'm going to select areas, or as I come through, I'm going to select areas that I can plant different things. There'll probably be about 4 or 5 asparagus beds, kind of like this one. But just kind of want to give you an idea of the beginnings of it so that later on you see what it looks like as time goes. It's by the side of the road. I get this idea actually from time I've spent in Colorado, where as I drive by some of the highways, I see asparagus growing wild on the side of the road. And I got to thinking, hey, if it grows in that environment, it'll probably grow here. Lots of great sun. The weather's great. It's fall. I plant the roots and, what do you call it, I've been seeding some of them, which are coming up nicely, over in my little greenhouse on the other side. And I'm going to bring those out here and begin planting them. The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was creating barriers and fencing. Another video, I'm going to show you what I'm doing, again, one piece at a time. Excuse my little shoddy tie I've used to hold this up here. But what I basically was trying to do is trying to level it out. I've been going through and using just a rake and a shovel to do some grading. You'll see in some of these videos that I've intentionally made sort of just one little section of something. And the reason is I kind of want to just do a little video on it so that then later I can kind of put them all together in terms of a series of, you know, beginning to end stuff. You'll also notice in some places that I have taken some paint or sprayer and I've written down different things, like here's where a gate is going to be. I am beginning to form the land. I finally sat down and figured out how I want things to be, and as I work on it, I've been able to find the material. As most of you know, I'm using reclaimed stuff, so hog fencing. When I find somebody that wants to get rid of some of the stuff, the 16-foot stuff is amazing. It is tough. The elk will run over it, but at least, you know, the deer won't kill it, the elk will run over it. It's in sections so you can fix it later. You basically have to make the process manageable for yourself. Homesteading can be wonderful on, you know, a land that's pre-prepared, but if you're starting with raw land, as I am doing, there's a lot of things that you have to think about, and part of this whole process, this whole series that I'm doing is basically to share with people that it is possible to do. If you just do it piece by piece, you don't become overwhelmed. You know, when I talk about doing a 600-foot long hugelkultur bed, one of the things that you have to realize is that I'm not doing it all in one day. You know, it's about, you know, 8 foot, you know, 1 week. And then the next week, I might not do anything on it. And then the next week, I might spend, you know, some time doing 4 feet of it and then get called away. I'm also going through, and you can see areas like here where I've cleared. I'm going to make a turnaround. What's going to happen is that I've started kind of lifting all this stuff out of the way. What you're looking at here used to look like so. And I've actually gotten the truck in here. You can see lots of mud tires. Be honest with you, I actually let some people play in here a little bit. And I also took advantage of some, the loose nature of the stuff that had been piled here. And as you can see, this summer I was able to shake loose a lot of this stuff. And, you know, I'm able to pick it up and move it out of the way. and clear areas like this. And, you know, this guy over here was laying underneath, but after I loosened all the mud around it, I was able to just roll it out of the way using a PV. And I think you guys have seen me use a PV before. It's an old style tool that allows you to hook onto a log and manipulate a log that's usually unmanageable. When you're bucking logs, you normally use that, and if you don't know what that is, just look up, you know, bucking, B-U-C-K-I-N-G, or limbing, and you'll probably see the use of a PV. Back in the day, they used to use it. The point I'm trying to make is that I'm actually going to make a turnaround from where you just saw me walk. You can see part of where I've driven this already to create a bit of a path through it. And yes, I walked it first to make sure that I wasn't going to impale anything under my truck like I did last time. But all this stuff here, actually I have to move out of the way. But the idea is to make basically a horseshoe, which goes around into the property. All this is going to be part of my food forest here, the open clearing you see. As a result, I don't want to drive into that area, but I want to be able to make a U-turn as I bring materials in. So my way of achieving it is actually to use the hugelkultur bed as the center of the my U-turn or my circle. And I'm actually going to have more like an oval, with this part being low, that part being high where the truck is. And I'm going to kind of clear all this by hand, compress it. Again, eventually I am going to bring some rocks in here, but first I need to prepare the ground. You see this guy over here? This big timber that's under the ground in here? The other one you saw earlier was in that same kind of spot when I first got to it, and I had to dig it out. And this is basically just shovel, pickaxe work. It's not back-breaking like you might imagine. Don't be intimidated by these kinds of things. The dirt around it is actually, you know, it's just packed in there and it's just dried in. If you just, you know, work it a little bit, not with overwhelming force, as the old saying goes, work smarter, not harder. You know, sometimes, you know, what I do, it sounds really interesting, but I'll come here with a 5-gallon bucket of water and I will soak an area. And one of these days I'll do one of these for you and you'll see. I'll soak an area, soften the left and the right side of it, and then come in with a smaller tool, such as a small shovel or something, and just scoop out the dirt from around it. And I'll let it sit, and the next day I'll do it again, and I'll do the next section, and the next section, and, you know, at the end of the week, I've got all the dirt around it, I put the PV up against it, I turn it, and the thing rolls right out of where it is. Sometimes I use the chainsaw to help me, but again, it's just working smarter. Look at the things that you have to deal with, and consider how you can, for lack of a better term, how you can be smart about getting them out. It's not about brute strength. It really is not. It is not about brute strength. I will say it again. Some things are, other things are not. Now, in a few months, probably in January or February, I have made the decision to get a couple of draft horses. And the reason is that there are going to be things around here that I need to do, such as when I build the bridge across the stream that these trees here you see buffer, I'm going to need some serious strength. Now, I can't get in there with any equipment because of what you're seeing in terms of, well, it's a stream buffer, and I got to leave the trees in place, and I really can't get a piece of equipment through this thicket. So I'm going to bring a couple of draft horses in, and I am going to let them help me pull some logs across the stream to form my base, so then I can, you know, land them on the platforms that I've put on either side. If you remember, I made a video previously saying that I needed to find a place to bring a bridge across so I can connect both sides of the property. Anyway, I've made my way around, just kind of walking through some of the stuff. I kind of jumped off the path I'm going to take, but you can pretty much see that I've come back to where I started. Ooh, I have crickets. Actually, they're more like grasshoppers, locusts. whatever you want to call them. Out here they fit in, so it's not like I'm worried. And of course, you see, nature's helping me out a little by softening the ground. You know, when we talk about being wet down below, look at this. I don't know if you can see the darker soil, the wetness down deep. There's moisture underneath this place. Now imagine building it up and kind of, what I'm showing you is some mole holes or mole mounds. Imagine building it up, building up the hugelkultur bed. There'll be a lot of moisture down there, and if I allow the roots to be able to get down deep into this stuff over here, if I fill it with enough organic material, enough straw, and other material that'll compost well, I should have a really good bed to be able to plant in from on top. Obviously, it's going to be above my head when I'm done, but load by load, this will get done. Some of you might think this is impossible, but you'll be amazed at what is possible. I guess I'm living proof that one can do all kinds of things that are impossible from the standpoint of the work I've done in the past and working in places where people had to do things by hand. There was no equipment. There was no other way to do it, just human effort. And I'm not talking about, 300 people huffing it. I'm talking, 3 or 4 people just being industrious. And one of the things that I have to add to this whole thing, earlier I was talking about being in shape for working out here. It's really important that you build up your stamina little by little. I didn't just jump into this overnight and just, plow away at it, putting, 10-hour days in. I started little by little by little to the point where I've built up my stamina and I've gained fitness that allows me to be able to do this. You too can do it. You absolutely can. The human body is an amazing, instrument. And the other thing that it has going for it too is that you have a brain attached to it. And that brain has the ability to give you what I call eureka moments, where you're doing something and all of a sudden it occurs to you, ding, 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 here's a better way to do it. And you'll innovate. Don't ever think that something is too much for you. If you really give it a thought, there are things that are way over the top, I agree, but certain tasks, break it off into bite-sized pieces. Make it so that you can do a little bit at a time. Don't set goals that are, too big in terms of, I'm not talking about doing a big hugelkultur bed. I'm talking about goals like saying I'm going to do it all in one day, or I'm going to try to get it all done, next week. Do what I've done and say to yourself, well, I'm aiming for December or January, working, 15 hours a week, maybe, as I had said earlier, 3 or 4 trips up and down, gather some rocks. All of a sudden, you'll notice the momentum. And what will start to happen is that as you get some momentum going, you get some piles, you yourself will set aside a day, such as I've done today on a Saturday, and you're going to say, you know what, I'm just going to come and get everything that I've piled up into the area that I need it. And then, you'll see progress there, and it'll sort of motivate you. That's the way the mind works, independent of you. It builds on accomplishment. I encourage you to, try it. Don't ever get psyched out by things that look like they're too big. Just little by little gets you there. Anyway, enough out of me for now. Take good care.